back to my YouTube channel. My name is Cess, also known as Sparrow Cess on Instagram, and I missed Spooky Sunday. I felt so bad. I mean, I totally forgot about it. I just never got around to doing it. So I'm giving you this video on this random Tuesday to make up for what we missed on Sunday. Sorry about my bright makeup and red everything. I'm actually doing a little cos test right now for my future Spider-Woman cosplay. If you guys didn't know, I am a cosplayer and I have all of my cosplays on Instagram under Sparrow Cess. If you guys love all nerdy things and you want to check that out, go give me a follow on Instagram. I would really appreciate it. Let's get into our spooky story. I'm going back to my first video, my Ouija board experience, and I had mentioned on that video that there was a lot of events that led up to what had happened that night. So that's what I'm going to be talking about. I'm going to go all the way to the beginning and explaining everything that happened that led up to my Ouija board experience. So in my job, I manage a store, and I was managing a smaller store at the time, and they ended up changing me to a bigger store. At the time, I was kind of bummed out about it because I was really attached to the first store since it was my first time managing it. I opened it, so I was kind of a little bit attached to it, but the store that they ended up sending me to had way more traffic. It was in a better area for me, and so I was pretty excited to be able to get a bigger store. So when I first got to my store, I was kind of nervous because in my job, there's only like 4 or 5 people that work together, never more than that, and sometimes we work alone. So when I got to the store, I noticed a lot of weird things that would happen there. I was walking around the store, and out of nowhere, I hear something just fall right behind me. I turn around and there was a bag that had fallen down. Now, I don't remember if it was something that I bumped into, or maybe I, was stalking and it hit another product that made it fall down. I don't know, but I couldn't explain that, but I kind of ignored it as well. I just got really creeped out because I was by myself, and it just, it felt a little uneasy. So another incident that happened, I was coming in for my shift, and as soon as I would clock in, my coworker that had opened the store would take their break. So I came in, and right away she went on her break, and she ended up leaving the store actually. Couple seconds later, after she walked out, I hear a huge crash coming from the back room. Now, me and her were the only ones working at that moment. So I ended up kind of getting the chills because I was like, oh my god, what was that? Because it was a really loud crash. I ended up going to the back room, and we had the back room really clean at that time, so if there was anything that had fallen, we would have noticed it. I look into the back room, and there's nothing on the floor that could have fallen down, and so I didn't see anything. But also we had a bathroom. Now, I got so creeped out because I was like, oh no, now I have to go into the restroom and check this thing out. I opened the door to the restroom, and the light covers from, I don't know if you guys noticed, the super long lights in some workplaces, or some places have a cover for them, and that's what had fallen down, and it broke. Oh my gosh. Now, when I picked it up and I tried to put it back on because there was only just a big hole on it, and I just didn't want to leave it on the floor. So I just tried to put it back on, and when I was putting it on, it hooked in, meaning it had to, the hook had to go like this to be able to stay on. No one has ever messed with that light cover ever, and I can tell you why, because when I picked it up, it had so much dust on it. It had so much, you can tell nobody has ever cleaned that thing. So for somebody to take it off and put it back on or something, they didn't do it right. That was kind of off, because I was just like, this thing is super dirty. It should have been cleaned, or you could have seen that somebody messed with it. And no, nothing was messed with. So I hooked it back on, and then that's when I got kind of creeped out because I was just like, what the heck? How if it would have fallen off, it had to unhook itself, or really somebody was messing with me. Now, another incident that had happened was super creepy. I remember this one, like, because it wasn't just me this time, kind of thing. Me and another coworker were stocking the store, and I was going in and out of the back room because all of the drinks were back there. She was fixing a wall right next to the drinks. Now I'm going back and forth, you know, I'm just doing my thing, and all of a sudden I hear, like, ow, like I hear her yell out that she's like, ow, and she's like, what the hell? And I was just like, what? Like, I was just like kind of confused because I was so in my zone that when she said that to me, I was just like, what? Like, what happened? She was like, did you throw me that marker right now? And I was like, no. You know, I was so freaked out. I was just like, what are you talking about? I didn't throw you no marker. She goes, yeah, that marker, like, and when I saw the marker, like, it had just like stopped rolling a couple feet away, and I was just like, no, like, I didn't even notice the marker. She had to point it out because I had no idea what she was talking about. So she ends up telling me that something hit her, somebody threw that marker at her, and she thought it was me. And I was just like, no way, dude, that wasn't me. And as I was going back to the back room, the door was starting to close on me slowly, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like, that this creeps me out just thinking about it still, because it was just back to back to back. Like, when something paranormal happens to you, like, you kind of stay thinking about it, you just keep on talking about it, like, oh my gosh, that door closed on me, and you just keep going on. But when something keeps happening back to back to back, it just creeps you the hell out. Like, it just didn't want to stop, and it scared us so bad. So that was an incident that happened with a coworker, so I wasn't like crazy, you know. One more incident that happened to us there, the back door would always open and close. Okay, now at the time, I can assure you that it was no wind. There was nothing that would be able to open or close this door. The AC at the time was completely out. I remember because it was summer, and our AC and heater went out during Christmas holidays, so we didn't really mind because it wasn't like we needed AC, so we kind of blew it off. And a couple months later, that's when it started getting hot, and we still didn't have AC there because they didn't come and fix that heater and AC for like a year later. So I remember clearly that there was no AC, there was no heater blowing at the time that could have moved this door back and forth. Sometimes the door would close on its own slowly, or sometimes it would open on its own slowly. Sometimes the door would get stuck and wouldn't open at all. Just weird things always happened in that back room. And keep this in mind for future videos, okay? Because there was something unsettling about that back room always. It would creep us out, and it was just the weirdest feeling being by yourself in this store because it was bigger. And when you were by yourself, you would just stay behind the cash wrap. You kind of didn't want to go in the back room. You kind of didn't want to go walking around the store. You just stayed in that area. Unfortunately, you kind of just stayed in that area. One more incident, I'm going to give this one to you guys because I just thought of it and I thought you guys should know about it for my future video that's going to be coming next after this. So at the shopping center that we were at, there was a Target and there was another like clothing store right next to us. So it was a really busy shopping center. We were in the middle of all the cars passing, all the people's passing by from Target to the clothing stores. So we saw a bunch of people. A lot of the times the husbands would walk into our store because it is a supplement store. So a lot of the times when they wanted to ditch their wives, they would just come into our store. Also, a lot of the things that would happen was moms walking by with their kids. Sometimes the kids would get a little crazy and run away and run around their moms and just, you know, playing around, and they would run into our store and the moms would be coming behind them chasing them. It happened a few times actually. Like I was kind of used to kids just running in. Now, a coworker of mine, we were working, and this is a different coworker. She always heard the stories that kept happening to us, but she never witnessed anything. Now, one day we were talking behind the cash shop. We were just talking back and forth in this bright daylight, and I hear the door open. And every time like the door opens or closes, we greet the customer. You know, we are supposed to greet the customer right away, and you just hear me just go, "Hi, welcome," and my coworker just starts laughing, like laughing hysterically, and I was just like, "What?" She goes, "There's no one in here," and I was like, "What do you mean?" She goes, "Yeah, I saw that door open and close right now," and I was just like, "What the heck?" She goes, "It just kind of went," and she just said that it kind of just went together, and that's why she started laughing, because she's looking outside to this door, to their front door, and she's seeing it open on itself, and I just like greet the customer thinking there's someone there. She just starts laughing at me. A couple minutes later, maybe like a half an hour later, we had a security mirror pointing towards a direction where we can't see in the other side of this little wall that we have inside our store, but we can clearly see in the mirror if somebody goes into our back room, and if anybody's behind that little wall where we can't see when we're behind the cash wrap. So we're talking, and all of a sudden, like, it's a habit to, like, when you look that way, you can see movement in the mirror. So we were talking, and all of a sudden we both looked towards the direction of the mirror, and I told her what. She was just like, "Did you see that?" And I was like, "I did." And I had clearly seen, me and her both agreed that we saw the same thing. We saw like a little kid run to the back room. And I was just like, "Did a kid run in?" And she was just like, "I don't know. That's what I thought I saw a kid walk to the back room too." And I pulled her with me, and I was like, "Let's just go check." And no, our store was completely empty. Just a lot of things always led to the back room all the time. The door, like kids running in there, things happening, noises coming from the restroom. So things always led up to that back room, and I always tried to avoid it. I always stayed inside, in the front of the store or behind the cash wrap, just because it kind of creeped me out. I never liked to be back there, and also because the door would open and close, I didn't want for the door to close on me and then I can't open it. That would have completely freaked me out. So I don't know, that place was interesting. So that's my story of my scary store that I was working at. Trust me, this is just the little events that we noticed right before things got crazier. I'm not sure if any of my other coworkers had experiences like I did by themselves, but I can, you know, a lot of the times these things happen a lot when I was there with them or I was by myself, and I always talk about it. I'm not scared to be like, "Oh my goodness, like I think I saw something," or "I heard something." A lot of people I feel like some people just don't want to say anything because they don't want to seem like they're crazy, or, you know, people will say like, "No, that's not true, it could have been this, it could have been that." You guys can decide for yourselves what you guys thought, but for sure in my end, the scary, uneasy feeling and the weird little things that would happen in that store, I can assure you it was not wind, it was not bugs, it was, I don't know, like little things that people say that it could have been. So that's just some of the things that happened at my scary store when I first got there. Believe me guys, it gets way crazier than that. If you guys enjoyed my video today, give me a like. And if you love paranormal videos and enjoyed this one, hopefully you guys stick around and subscribe to my channel so you guys can see all the upcoming scary videos that I got planned for you guys. Okay guys, thanks for joining me today, and I'll see you next time. Bye!